The tree duck was feeling very worried. Someone was stealing her eggs while she was away hunting for food. She asked the flying fox to keep an eye on her nest. Next morning, before the duck went out hunting, the flying fox came along. Finding a suitable limb above the nest, he hung himself up, covered his head with his wings, and went to sleep. When the duck came home that evening, the flying fox had just woken from his sleep. The duck looked and saw that another of her eggs had gone. "I didn't see anyone take it," said the flying fox. Now the duck felt sure her eggs were being taken by some evil spirit. So she decided to find out the reason. She went to a certain lagoon where the melong, the spirit of darkness and punisher of all wrongdoers, was known to visit. Here she plucked 3 feathers, one from her head, one from under her wing, and one from her leg. These she placed in a certain way on the ground. Then she went home and heaped up a big pile of grass near her nest to make a seat for the melong when he came to see her. Now, a water rat was very interested in what the duck was doing. He knew she was preparing for a visit from the melong, and he wanted to know what the melong would say, for water rat was the one responsible for stealing the eggs. Unnoticed, the water rat crawled under the pile of grass that had been made as a seat for the melong and waited. All that night, the duck sat awake on her nest and waited. Now the melong, who by his own great magic could see all that was going on, just smiled to himself, and he also waited. When the sun came up, the duck decided the melong could not have been near the lagoon that night. Otherwise he would have seen the message she had left for him. She was just about to go and get some breakfast when up strolled the melong. The duck politely offered him the seat she had made for him. He sat down, and the duck began to tell him her sorrows. When she had finished, the melong said to her, "I know the thief, and I shall deal with him later. Now, I want you to go and find a nice hollow limb that will hold all your eggs. Then come back, and I will help you move your nest into it. When your eggs are hatched, sit outside the limb you have chosen for your nest, and give this call, 'Kunubi!' The spirit of the winds will come and help you lower your babies gently to the ground. Now, you go and look for a suitable limb. I shall stay here and mind your nest." Off went the duck, quite happy and excited. All day she searched for miles around, and the funny thing is that she could not find one hollow limb, not even a little one. When it was nearly sunset, she headed back home, wondering what the melong would say to her for keeping him waiting all day. Suddenly, close by her nest in the bush, she saw a tree with a hollow limb which she had not noticed before. She inspected it and found it just right. Excitedly, she told the melong, and in a few minutes she was sitting at the door of her new home. Thanking the melong for his help, the melong simply smiled and said, "Goodbye." As the duck sat smiling at the setting sun, she felt very happy again. She looked on the ground at her old nest, and suddenly the heap of grass where the melong had been sitting all day long began to move. Then a strange creature crawled from beneath. It looked rather like a water rat at first, except that its head and tail seemed to be quite flattened out. It slipped quietly into the water. Today, if you saw one of these animals, you could mistake it for the water rat, or you could be as surprised as the duck. It is now called a platypus.